Hello everyone, and welcome to this very short video on memory lesson 3, which is types of long-term memory. So before we get started, I'll just pop the specs for you up on the screen there. It's very simple for this topic. You need to be able to outline and evaluate the different types of long-term memory, and those include episodic, semantic, and procedural memory. Okay, so a very nice and simple topic. So let's get started. So just to begin with, I'm going to pop the Multistore model of memory on the screen for you there. The Multistore model of memory is something you should all be familiar with. If you're not, then I would suggest that you quickly go back and recap that before carrying on with this video. Now, if you remember, the Multistore model suggests that the memory stores are all unitary. Unitary meaning that there are no subsections within the memory stores. All of short-term memory is in one place, all of long-term memory is in the other place, and there are no different types of short-term memory or different types of long-term memory. But research quite frequently showed that that actually wasn't the case, and you will have come across quite a lot of that research when you were evaluating the Multistore model as well. So over the years and over lots and lots of different research studies that kept kind of proving that there were different types of short-term memory and different types of long-term memory, it was finally decided that the Multistore model was simply too simplistic. And the psychologist that had a very heavy hand and the psychologist that played a very big role in that kind of realization was Tulving. Now, Tulving was one of the first cognitive psychologists to point out that the Multistore model was too simple and too inflexible, and Tulving actually proposed that there were 3 different types of long-term memory, something that the Multistore model didn't actually allow for or didn't suggest. According to Tulving, there are 3 types of long-term memory, and these are semantic memory, episodic memory, and procedural memory. And those are the ones that we are going to have a little bit of a look at in this video. So we will start off with just a very, very brief introduction, and then we will go into a little bit more detail on the individual types of long-term memory, because there are some little bits and pieces that you need to know about. So first off, semantic memory is your memory for facts. Okay, it is your encyclopedia of general knowledge that everybody has. Okay, your episodic memory is your memory for specific events that have occurred in your life, events that are personal to you and that you will remember for a long, long time. And your procedural memory is your memory of skills and actions. So it is your how-to memory, okay? Whether that's playing the piano or whether it's riding a bike. Okay, so that's just a very, very nice, quick way of remembering all 3 of them. And now I'll give you a little bit more detail on each of them, just so that you can kind of tell them apart and so that you could actually answer a question on them as well. So, first off, semantic memory. Semantic memory contains your knowledge of the world. Okay, it is, in the broadest of senses, your general knowledge. So this could be capital cities. It could be applying to university. It could be, very simply, what the taste of an orange is like. Okay, it is the meaning of words. Okay, all of these things are in your long-term semantic memory. Okay, now important things as well, that this semantic memory also contains a very, very large reservoir of concepts. Okay, so the fact that we know what animals are, for example, the concept of animals is something that is not alien to us, and we all know what they are. The concept of love, for example, as well, that is also something that the majority of us know what it is, and that is something that would be in your general knowledge. Now, these memories are not what's known as time-stamped. Okay, time-stamped means you can't remember when you learnt them or where you were when you learnt them. they're not personal to you. You just know what they are, but you don't know when you learnt what they are. They're just there. It's just knowledge that we all share. Okay? Okay, so moving on to procedural memory. Procedural memory, as I said before, is our memory for actions and skills. Okay, we can recall these memories without conscious awareness. Okay, we just do them. We don't have to think about doing them. We don't have to think about riding a bike in order to be able to ride a bike. We just hop on the bike and ride. They are the kind of skills that we would find quite hard to explain to others. So if you imagine trying to explain to somebody how to walk, or how to ride a bike, or how to play the piano, then we would find that very difficult to do. And also, interestingly, those tasks would become more difficult to do if we tried to explain them whilst doing them. Okay? And then finally, we have episodic memory. Episodic memory is our memory for events from our lives. So our episodic memory is a little bit like a daily diary. Okay, it contains information like the most recent visit to the dentist, a birthday party, the gig that you went to last weekend. These memories are time-stamped. Okay, you know that the gig was last weekend. You know that the dentist was 2 weeks ago. You know that 1 year ago tomorrow it was your 18th birthday, for example, or whatever. These are things that you know. And each memory will include various different elements. So you'll have, which people were there, where you were, so different places, which objects were there, the behaviors that people displayed while you were out, the emotions that you felt. All of those elements will come together to produce one time-stamped episodic memory. Okay, and unlike procedural memory, episodic memories require conscious effort to retrieve them, as in you have to consciously be aware that you are currently looking for a memory of, say, your 18th birthday, and then you can find it. Okay, so it requires conscious effort and is time-stamped. All right, so like I said, there isn't really very much detail needed for these three different types of memory. Those are the three types. Semantic memory, general knowledge, requires conscious retrieval and is not time-stamped. Episodic memory is time-stamped, does not require conscious retrieval, and is episodes from your life or events from your life. And procedural memory, memory of actions and skills, not time-stamped, and does not require conscious retrieval. Very simple, no need to over-egg it. We can move straight on to the evaluation points. And it's going to be quite nice for this topic because actually I have 3 lots of supporting arguments for you rather than loads and loads of limitations like is often the case with psychological research. So, number 1, there is research support from clinical evidence. Okay, clinical evidence in this case means case studies, and more specifically, patients with amnesia. So you have 2 patients, you've got HM and Clive Waring. You may have come across these before when you did the Multistore Model of memory. Both were sufferers of amnesia, and both had different elements of them long-term memory impaired. So for example, HM displayed normal semantic memory. So for example, he could understand the concept of a dog. However, he could not actually remember ever having owned a dog, which means that his episodic memory was impaired. Okay, whereas Clive Waring, on the other hand, he was a pianist, and he could play the piano without thinking, he could just do it. However, he couldn't remember ever having learnt to play the piano. So for him, it suggests that his procedural memory is still working fine, but his episodic memory is impaired, which gives us an idea that actually the different types of long-term memory do exist, and therefore these two case studies do support the idea of different types of long-term memory. Okay, so there's a nice one there to use, nice and easy. You come across Clive Waring before, or you should have done, and so there's another one there that you can just kind of use him for. Okay, moving on, you also have support from neuroimaging research. Okay, so studies using brain scans have shown that different types of long-term memory are actually physically stored in different parts of the brain. So Tulving asked patients to perform various tasks whilst they were having their brain scanned with a PET scanner, and it was found that semantic memories involved the left prefrontal cortex, whilst episodic memories involved the right prefrontal cortex. Okay, so research like this gives a physical reality to the different long-term memory stores, and it does show that they are in different locations in the brain, and therefore it further supports the idea that they are in fact two different types of long-term memory that are separate from one another. Okay, and then a final evaluation point is that there is real-life applications to research into long-term memory. Okay, so Belleville et al. In 2006, they compared the performance of older people suffering with a cognitive impairment who received memory training with that of a control group who did not receive any memory training. And it was found that the participants in the experimental group performed better on a test of episodic memory. So what that essentially means is that in being able to highlight the different types of long-term memory, you're also able to isolate the different types of long-term memory, and you're able to give people certain exercises and certain memory training tasks which can actually improve their memory. And then also, the knock-on effect of that is that it gives psychologists the opportunity to improve people's lives through creating and devising appropriate treatments for mild cognitive impairments that involve kind of memory issues, which is a nice thing as well, because it means that research into long-term memory isn't just something that lives in a lab or lives on the pages of a psychological journal, but it does actually also have applications in the real world and can be used to help people. So that is our last evaluation point. As I said earlier, it is a very, very short topic, and so the video is appropriately short as well. I do hope that it has been useful, and I do hope that it's all made sense to you. Thank you very much for listening.